Okay, so we're diving deep today, and this excerpt we've got, it's really got me thinking about the impact like just one person can have, on the whole world.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It kind of lays out these examples of people using their talents and like their drive, their determination to do good.
Yeah.
But then on the flip side,
totally,
you've got others who are using those same qualities for not so good.
Yeah.
Let's just say.
Yeah, it really makes you think about those like pivotal moments in history, right? Like where would we even be without Martin Luther King Jr.? I mean, his unwavering push for civil rights, or all the scientists who, dedicated their entire lives to these breakthroughs like antibiotics. I mean, those things we take for granted.
For sure. But then the excerpt also brings up these darker examples, right? These people who are driven by obsessions and, blindly following ideologies. That's the part that I kind of get tripped up on. Is it always just like this good versus evil kind of?
Well, it's rarely that black and white, I think. Yeah. That point about blind following in the excerpt?
Yeah.
That really struck me.
Yeah.
I mean, think about like the rise of extremist groups all throughout history, right? A lot of times these individuals, they're not necessarily evil when they start out, but they get so caught up in this system of beliefs that overrides their ability to think critically.
So then how do you tell the difference between, say, MLK's like unwavering commitment to, social justice and someone who's blindly following a harmful ideology?
Well, I think the difference often comes down to the why behind the actions,
Yeah.
MLK, his motivation was deeply rooted in a desire for equality and justice for everyone.
Yeah.
And his actions consistently reflected that. Whereas someone who's caught up in a harmful ideology, they might be driven by fear, resentment, a desire for power.
Yeah.
And that leads to very, very different outcomes.
Okay, so the motivation, that's a key piece.
Huge.
But the excerpt also talks about like abilities and perseverance.
Right.
I mean, those are qualities that
typically
we usually think of as good things.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's suggesting that even those can be misused.
It is.
Which is kind of unsettling.
It is unsettling, right? I mean, think about someone with incredible technical skills.
Yeah.
In one scenario, they could be developing life-saving technology, but in another, they could be using those same skills to create something harmful or destructive, right?
Right.
And perseverance, too. It can be a double-edged sword.
Totally.
Like, imagine someone who's so fixated on this one idea. Yeah. They refuse to acknowledge any flaws in it.
Right.
Or consider alternatives.
Right.
I mean, that kind of unyielding determination can lead down a real dangerous path.
That makes me think about, and I know you're a big fan of like the whole tech world.
Yeah.
The development of like artificial intelligence and all that. Yeah. And there are people who are really pushing the boundaries. And they're doing it with good intentions, Like they really want to advance humanity and solve these complex problems.
Absolutely.
But then you also have this concern that the technology could get out of control.
Yeah.
And actually cause more harm than good.
That's right.
Right.
That's a perfect example, It highlights how even with noble goals, the methods that you use have a huge impact on whether the outcome is ultimately positive or negative. It's about consistently checking those methods against ethical considerations and a respect for human dignity.
So after this deep dive, what's like the core message?
I think the core message is that the potential for both good and harm exists within each of us.
Yeah.
It's this complex interplay of motivation, our methods, and constant self-reflection that ultimately determines the impact we have on the world.
That really makes you think about the choices we make every single day.
Doesn't it?
Yeah. Not just historical figures or like these grand gestures.
Exactly.
It's like every little
decision.
Could
apparently we make. It has the potential to create these ripples, big or small.
I'd encourage you to think about your own talents and your own determination.
Absolutely.
And how can you make sure that they're contributing positively to the world? Yeah. Maybe you could explore some of the work by like mention a specific author relevant to the listener's known interests.
Oh, yeah.
I think they've written a lot about
they have
the ethical considerations around
absolutely
technology and artificial intelligence. And it could be
some
good food for thought for you.
Great stuff to think about.
Yeah.
For sure.